when I make gingerbread houses, I like to take just a portion of my dough. I don't roll the entire thing out at once. You just get it into a nice ball. Stick some flour down. Notice that I've already used this to cut out some gingerbread pieces. I go with corners so that I can keep using this paper over and over again, so I don't waste the parchment paper. Flatten that dough out. Add some flour to the top and to the rolling pin to prevent sticking. We're going to start rolling our dough. I just pulled this out of the refrigerator, so it's super stiff. You want it to be about 1/4 of an inch thick. When your dough gets really, really, really warm, it becomes harder to roll with the rolling pin. So if I go like this and then come back with it, the dough's gonna come back with it. So I like to go from the center out. The center out. I try never to go back with it. We have our template pieces. I'm going to start out with this piece. Notice that it's not big enough. It's not long enough. So I'm just going to give the dough one more roll. We're almost there. So I cut the detail with my paring knife, and I like to cut the detail first because it's going to stretch the dough. And I'd rather stretch the dough now while it's one giant piece than when it is a smaller piece, because it can distort the shape of your house. So now we're going to cut out our door. And the dough is so much easier to work with as far as cutting it when it's cold. That's why we refrigerate the dough. We'll be done with this in just a minute. I'm not doing all of it, so not to worry. And I'll edit that out too. Now, I'm going to use the pizza cutter because it's not going to stretch my dough as it cuts. It's just simply going to cut it. Remove your scraps, which you can re-roll these.
Can I have your attention, please? Grace Ellis, please come to the office.
To re-roll these, you just work it until you don't see flour anymore, and it's perfectly re-rollable. Now we have a perfect house. To keep this perfect, I don't want to use a turner to get underneath it because it'll distort the shape of the house. So I'm simply going to cut this off. And I'm going to transfer it to my baking sheet. Anything that is too close to the edges is going to curl and grow into it, so you don't want this to be too close to the edges, and if it's too close to another piece that you've cut, it'll grow into each other. So you want to make sure you leave a nice space. As soon as you have one tray of cookies loaded up, stick it in the oven, 350 for 15 minutes. Alright, so you are each going to be given a decorating bag. I have already cut the tip off of this. You don't want to cut too much because you don't want it to be too thick. When you cake decorate, you twist the bag, you use your thumb and your finger to clamp it, and then you squeeze with these fingers. We are going to put together the sides of our house first. Oh goodness, I might need some hands to help me hold this up at some point. So we're going to use this as glue. This is the royal frosting recipe. Here we have the side of our house. We'll stick this guy here. Want to come around? Oh goodness, I'm dripping. Thank you. We'll grab the front of our house. This is going to attach to the side that we just used, as well as the bottom piece here. The nice thing about the royal frosting is that it should harden pretty fast. Very good, thank you. Then we'll add the next side. So I'm going to frost right here. And it's not rocket science. I'm going to add this piece here. Now if you have regular canned frosting, you're going to have 2 people doing this basically the whole time, because it's not as hearty as the royal frosting. The egg white in the royal frosting is what makes it be able to, actually I'm not putting it here, it's what makes it be able to harden super fast. Regular frosting does not harden fast at all. So you probably don't want to put the roof on your house today if you have regular frosting. Of course, we have a little bit too much flour on the side, so it's not allowing my frosting to stick to it. So I just washed it off a little bit. Take number 2. Here we go. So mine is actually ready for the roof to be put on the house. If you have regular frosting at this point, I would stop. I would not put the roof on. I'd wait until day number 2 when this has had a chance to harden all night long. At this point, I'm going to pipe the entire top of my house. And then we are going to attempt to get the roof to go on nice and pretty. Probably have to hold it for maybe a few seconds if you have royal frosting, or like 10 to 15 minutes if you have regular frosting, just store-bought canned frosting. Once this is started to really set, you can see here that we have a nice gap. Eventually, and I'm going to do this now, you can fill in this gap. And it just make it look like it has snowed on your house. We can add some snow up here. You can actually try to make some icicles as well. We can go around the entire bottom of the house. This just helps to actually make the house stronger. There we go. Another gap over here on the other side. And, well, not really gappy over there. So, if you can't put the roof on today, you can start decorating the outside of your house and the yard. But if you can get the roof on today because you have the royal frosting, you can decorate the whole house starting today. You don't want that roof to cave your house in, so you have to be very careful. Which I think, oh, I kept my door. I forgot about my door. We are going to put him right here.